Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, My Social Thread. My name's Crystal, and today I thought I would share or start making sewing tips and trips vlogs. So these will be quite short, and I will probably cover like 4 or 5 tips and tricks that I have found useful or that I have discovered along the way. Obviously I'm not a professional, but this is just through my years of experience, the things that I've come across that I think are quite good, and the tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. So the first tip of this vlog is number 1, how to learn to sew. So ever since I started my vlog, which it sounds like a long time, I only started it last month, but I've had lots of people ask me questions via Instagram, via my YouTube channel, or personally, friends that I know, how to start to sew. Could I teach them? Where can I go? That sort of thing. And I would say if you're a complete beginner, you really need somebody to physically show you a machine, how to thread it, how to do the basic stitches, that sort of thing. That's if you're a complete novice, you've never touched a sewing machine whatsoever. I think second stage from that is if you have had some experience on the sewing machine, but you're not confident, so you are still a beginner. I think again a friend would be quite useful. Watching vlogs would be quite useful as well. Lots of tutorials on YouTube, and pattern houses, their websites will have lots of tutorials on there as well. But if you wanted to do a course of some sort, I have got a couple of suggestions. I've not used any of these courses myself, to be fair, and I only have just discovered them a couple of years ago now. But the first one is the Sew Over It Stitch School. When I first started following Sew Over It, they didn't have the Stitch School. I believe it was only a couple of years ago, just before COVID, that they started sort of putting this Stitch School together, and it runs as a subscription service, or you can buy individual classes, and that's quite good. And they're quite so it has a particular topic that they will divide into lessons. So for example, shirt making, so everything you need to know about shirt making they will teach you in this course, and it's probably like 20 lessons for the course. Dressmaking, how to make adjustments to your patterns, that sort of thing. And when I talk about adjustments, I'm talking about a full bust adjustment, a small bust adjustment, bicep adjustments, that sort of thing. So for those of you that don't know, a full bust adjustment is where, say for example, you have a woven pattern for a bodice, and the body fits you perfectly, but it's just struggling at the bust area. So in that case you would need a full bust adjustment, and it's basically a way of adjusting your pattern so you get extra fabric in the bust but without touching the rest of the bodice, because you know the bodice already fits you perfectly. So that's a full bust adjustment. Likewise, small bust adjustment, the same thing, but for a smaller bust. So getting rid of excess fabric in the bust without changing the bodice. That's something that can be taught. Bicep adjustments as well. I have quite more than average sized biceps, I would say. So sometimes with woven dress patterns, I do need to change the I do need to do a bicep adjustment, and again it's simply adding fabric into the sleeve without changing the sleeve head or the sleeve shape. The Sew Over It Stitch School will show you that. Also there are vlogs on YouTube that will show you that, but it's a case of searching YouTube and Google to find the right one that you can understand and that you can implement yourself. The next one is Stitch Sisters. They've got a lovely presence on YouTube as well, and on Instagram, so does Sew Over It. But again, they have lovely courses on there that teach you everything to do with dressmaking, pattern cutting, all these, bodice adjustments. So they will go through all of that with you. So again, that's another one to consider if you wanted to learn that way. The other thing is Sew Essential. They also do tutorials, but they're free. So sorry, Sew Over It Stitch School and Stitch Sisters, you do have to pay for those courses. But there are, lots of companies on Instagram and on YouTube that are providing really good succinct tutorials. One example is Sew Essential. The lady there goes through these sort of adjustments as well, and they're actually quite easy to follow, and they just make your clothes fit just better, like a forward shoulder adjustment. Sometimes where people have like a rounded back, I probably have a small rounded back, and the shoulder seam should sit on your shoulder seam, but sometimes mine sits a bit back because of my rounded shoulder. So all you have to do is follow a forward shoulder adjustment tutorial, and it will just show you how to move that shoulder seam forward, just so that the garment is sitting properly on your figure, on your body. So yes, they're the courses that I would suggest. Also, I think how to learn to sew, if you, unless you are a complete beginner, if you had dabbled a bit with sewing, then it's just practice and experience really. So just start off again with easy patterns, sew over it, tilly in the buttons, start with easy garments. Woven garments normally are the garments beginners start with, because the fabric is it doesn't stretch, and it's easier to maneuver through the machine. So woven garments, tilly in the buttons have some lovely woven tops and dresses that are great for beginners, and look out at the bottom of their pattern envelope. It will say whether it's a beginner, confident beginner, improver, intermediate, so you know sort of what band of skill you need to have to attempt those patterns. My second tip is how not to procrastinate. So I have a problem with this a lot. My children will tell you that they find me normally in my sewing room just sort of looking at my fabric stash, stroking it, looking at it, touching it, looking at all my patterns, writing lots of notes, and then I just sort of sit there and I kind of just take it all in, and I'm not really actually doing anything. And that's procrastination in my book. And I would say ways to stop doing that are, first of all, you could vlog, so that there is accountability. For example, I did do a January plans vlog, and I said I would be making 2 items, which what I'm wearing today, actually, it's the Billy sweatshirt and the Camden skirt by Nina Lee, and I said I would make that in January, so I had to quickly get that done and made by the end of January, because I know that I would have to make a vlog for you guys, and I think it's a point of accountability. Obviously, if you don't fancy creating your own vlog, the other way to get accountability is, for example, I don't know, if you're going to an occasion, you could maybe mention to your friend or your family member, I'm making a dress for that wedding, or I'm making a dress for that christening, or I'm making a top to, go out on Friday night, what have you. And so when you turn up to that occasion, I think you're more than likely probably going to have made that garment that you said, because there is that accountability there where your friend or your family member will sort of say, oh, wow, is this the dress that you made? And so that's a good way not to procrastinate, when you know somebody's expecting you to have made something. Secondly, I think ready-made kits are also a good idea. So the kits, for example, in my previous vlog, I told you that I had bought a Guthrie and Ghani Sewing Society kit, and in these kits you have everything that you need to make the pattern. So you've got the pattern, the fabric, the thread, the notions, which is the threads, the buttons, the zips, facings, that sort of thing. Sorry, not facings, interfacings. So you have everything in this one box, and all you have to do is open it and just start. So I think that's a good way to sort of stop you from just thinking about it and doing it, really. And some of the the kits that I'd like to mention are Minerva. So Minerva have quite a few kits on their website. The only thing with Minerva, I do find they have a huge selection of fabrics and everything crafty on that website. But I find it quite hard to search for things on the website. Like, I don't think some of their designer fabrics, apart from Liberty, they're actually labelled as Liberty. So you could actually search Liberty and things will come up. I think like the Lady McElroy's or their other branded fabrics aren't labelled as such. So they're labelled like floral, dark, viscose, which could be anything. So I find it quite hard to find things on their website. Similarly with their kits, trying to find their Minerva kits is quite hard. But Minerva have now started posting on Instagram when they do have their kits available. They do a post on Instagram with a shot of what their kits of their kits, and they have several patterns per, I think they release it every month, I'm not sure. And again, you have everything in there, your fabric, your patterns, your notions, your threads, everything you need to make that garment in full. The good thing about Minerva, and actually I believe, no, so the good thing about Minerva is you don't have to buy everything in the kit. So for example, you've seen this lovely kit, but you already have the pattern at home, and you obviously don't want to buy another pattern. You can just tell them that you don't want the pattern, but you'll have everything else, please, thank you very much, and they will send that to you. Another company, So, they also do kits. They do lovely lingerie sets, actually, which is lovely. I have tried to sew a bra in the past, and it was beautiful. If I can find a picture, I'll pop a picture up. I used beautiful lace, and I bought sort of the nursing clips, so you can pull down the cups, and obviously the back hook and eyes, and the straps and the lace and the power mesh. I bought everything, and it was an enjoyable make, although it wasn't as neat as I would have liked. And the big thing really is it didn't fit me at all. So I didn't even bother buying the wires to go in, because I tried it on without the wires and it didn't fit me. So the thing with lingerie making is that apparently you have to actually just try several different sizes and different cup sizes to find what works for you, and that's per pattern designer as well. And I just didn't think that was something that I wanted to spend time on, but I just thought I have tried it, and maybe one day in the future I might try bra making again, or lingerie making. So they do lingerie kits, bra making kits, and they also do coats. Again, everything is included, which is lovely. And also it's nice to have some inspiration as well, where the companies match fabrics. For example, with a coat, they would have either like a plain boucle or a plain wool, and then the lining is like a lovely floral, which maybe you wouldn't have thought of, or you just like the combination together. So it's nice as well to get inspiration from how other people would pair fabrics with patterns. Another company that does kits, Sew Me Sunshine, this is quite recent. They've started doing kits with their dead stock fabric. So I suppose if they have some remnants of some dead stock fabric, they will quickly put a kit together. The last kit I saw on Sew Me Sunshine was is it Megan Nielsen Jara sweatshirt, and they had some lovely kits on there, again with everything you need, the threads, the ribbing, the pattern, and the fabric. Fabric Godmother and So Hailey Jane, they do, well, actually Fabric Godmother does a complete kit as well, but it is a subscription service, and what you get is a surprise, but it is a complete thing, a complete set, again, pattern, fabric, and notions. But what they have done is they've made their kits so that you can either make the pattern that's included in the kit, or you could use the fabric for something else, which is another way of looking at things. The So Hailey Jane box, I think their luxury box that has a pattern in it as well, and again you get the pattern, the fabric, lots of other goodies and treats for the So Hailey Jane box. Again, that's a sewing subscription, and it's a surprise as to what you get. And then the last one, which I believe I've mentioned already, is the Sewing Society kit from Guthrie and Ghani, which by far is my favorite. And when I say my favorite, I've only bought one box, but I think it's my favorite in that it's a kit. It only gets released once a month. There's the anticipation process there, and I think she releases the emails with the details of the kit at around 12 noon on the first Wednesday on the month. So again, anticipation, going online, checking that email, checking to see what kits they have. And then I guess it's the thrill of buying the kits, because they are limited and they do go very, very quickly. So if you want one, you really need to order it within the first couple of hours, otherwise they're all gone. So I quite like the Guthrie and Ghani Sewing Society box, because I know what I'm getting before I'm buying it, which is always handy. The third sewing tip and trick I would like to talk about is how to choose between paper or PDF patterns. Now, in my vlogs, at the bottom of the vlogs, in the descriptions, I do put all the links to all the fabric shops and all the patterns that I discuss or talk about in the vlogs. And I know some of them are international companies, for example Megan Nielsen, Chalk and Notch, Closet Core, and I have just put those international websites in just so that you can click on it and go to the original pattern house. But for the most part, most of these patterns are actually available in print, which is paper, in the UK. So if you are checking through the links, go through those links by all means, just to check out the actual original website, but then Google where you can find them elsewhere with UK stockists, because they are readily available. But there are some companies, for example, that only do PDF patterns, or no, there are some companies that aren't necessarily stocked in the UK, or they're out of stock, or you can't find them, but their PDF patterns are available online. And the beauty about PDF patterns is that if you are having a bit of a, I really need to sew something now, instead of, ordering a paper pattern online, waiting for it to be posted 2 to 3 days, with a PDF pattern, you can buy it, and they send you the PDF documents through your email, and you can print them off on your home printer at home. A4 pieces of paper, I think per pattern sheet is about 16 A4 pieces of paper, and you stick it all together and you have your pattern sheet, which you then cut out or trace your size. So that's really handy if you want to do something ASAP, or if there's an emergency occasion that you need to go to, and as you normally we say, I've got nothing to wear in my wardrobe, I have nothing to wear, I have no clothes. So you really want to make something. PDFs are the way forward. The only thing that can be quite cumbersome is the printing and the cutting of PDF patterns, especially if you are making a dress, because you've got the bodice and the sleeves, and then you've got the tiers of the skirts, which means you could probably be doing 3 or 4 A0 size pattern sheets, of which they're made of 16 A4s each. So that's a lot of printing, cutting and sticking before you even trace it out. The other options with PDF patterns, instead of printing and cutting out the patterns, sticking and cutting out the patterns at home, you can order the PDF pattern online, send it to a copy shop, and they will print it out in A0 for you and post it to you, which again, you have to wait for the postage, but that's another way of doing it. There are quite a few shops now that are doing A0 printing. Fabric Godmother, for example, are doing it. I believe So Over It are doing it as well. The Fold Line are doing it. I use the Fold Line quite a lot for their patterns. So the Fold Line is the company, it doesn't sell fabric, but it's a pattern shop, and they have so many patterns on there, especially from pattern companies that aren't that popular or that are just starting to become popular, including, on top of the popular patterns. So that's quite nice just to have a look through there to see what else is out there, sort of, So they do A0 printing as well, which is great. Little Legs Fabrics also do A0 printing, which is great. So with the PDF patterns, what I tend to do is, so you get the PDF patterns emailed to you, and you get the instructions emailed to you, and you either print them off at home or you send it off to a copy shop. If I print it off at home, well, for both, if I print it off at home or send it to the copy shop, the instruction booklet I will always print off and in color, and then I make these little folders. So it's just sort of these folders with elasticated closures, just from Amazon, and I will print the front cover of the pattern, put it in a plastic sleeve, put it in the front there, and I think that's a quite nice pattern envelope, a homemade pattern envelope. And inside I will put my instructions. So I printed out the instruction booklet, and also the pattern pieces are in there. And like I said, I do tend to trace. So again, the traced pattern sheets that I have traced and cut out, I will put in there as well. It has got a bit of room to expand, so you can put everything in there and it will all fit in. Okay, so let's go to paper patterns. So paper patterns are lovely. I guess it's similar to sort of debating between whether to buy an ebook or a hardback book. So with an ebook, again, you have instant gratification. You can buy it online or where have you, and it will instantly be put on your Kindle or on your laptop or on your phone, wherever you like to read, and you have it instantly. That's if I really need to read something new today, I want that, and you can buy an ebook. Obviously, with a hardback book or a paperback book, you have to order it online or go to a shop and wait for it to be delivered, or go to the shop and sort of browse, and that takes time and effort as well. But as most of you book lovers will know, there's nothing like a brand new book to hold, to touch, to feel, to smell. And some people do prefer real books to ebooks. And similarly with sewing patterns, I feel the same. PDFs, again, I use if it's an emergency, or if I can't find their patterns in the UK, or if they're out of stock and I really need to make that pattern, then I will buy the PDF patterns. Also, there are some pattern companies that do ebooks. Lisa Comfort Sew Over It has released several ebooks, and the patterns are only available via the ebook. So that would be PDF patterns in any event. But I do like a good paper pattern. I mean, for example, this Fiona by Closet Case. I think they're called Closet Core now, one or the other. And it's just really nice. You know, it's lovely thick paper that's lovely to display in your sewing room, or just have like a collection of patterns. You know, it's full color, you get everything in there. Let me show you what's in there. So you get the pattern books, not the pattern books, the instruction booklet, and you get the paper patterns. Now, as you can see, that one is actually tissue. Some companies do tissue, like the Big Four. So the Big Four is Simplicity, Vogue, McCall's, and Butterick. They normally do tissue. Actually, they only do tissue, to be fair. But most of the independent designers Sew Over It. No, not Sew Over It. Tilly and the Buttons, Megan Nielsen, Jennifer Lauren. They do all of their patterns on paper, which I prefer because they're sturdier, they're thicker, they're easier to fold, they're less likely, you know, to tear. But some of them do tissue, so I guess it's just depending on the company that you choose. So yeah, I guess to summarize, I do prefer a good paper pattern because it's lovely to hold, look at, display, collect. But a PDF pattern is just as good as well because you get exactly the same thing. You can still make a dress at the end of it, which I guess is the result that you want. But it's, you know, you have to print it out yourself and make your own pattern envelopes.